Okay, and now on lesson 7, we're talking about rounding money. And this is just like rounding numbers, only now we have 2 decimal places. Remember, one thing is we underline the one you want to round and then look at the one after. And when we look at the one after, we're looking at if it's 5 or more, it means it rounds up. If it's under 5, then we're going to stay the same. And so let's look at some examples. If I have 362 and I'm told to round to the nearest dime, remember we said we underline the one we're looking at. So this is the dime spot. And so that's the one that's either going to stay as 6 or it's going to get rounded up to 7. And so what we do, if you remember from before, we'll write 3.62. We'll go a dime up, so 3.70. Or we'll go down to the nearest dime, which is 3.60. So we're either going to round up to 370 or stay at 360, but notice we have a 0 at the end there. Now to do this, one thing we can do is we can write it out. Remember, 3 stands for like 100. If you think about it as cents, it is 300 cents. And then we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then we have 2 dots. Now 360 would be 300, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And 370 would be 300, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Now, again, we underline this one, and this is the number we're looking at. So these are fine. This is what we're looking at. If that has 5 or more, then we go up. If it has less than 5, then we go down. So this one only has 2, so that's less than 5. So that means I'm going to go with 360. So our answer would be rounding to 360. Okay, once again, and, it all depends on where your child is. If they can just look at the numbers, so just look at this and figure out if they go up to 370 or down to 360, then do this. If they need more help, draw this out. Have them draw it out, and then talk about that you're looking at this last part right here and figuring out if it's more than half or if it's less than half. Okay, we have another example. We have 362 again. But now we're going to round to the nearest dollar. So we're either going up to $4 or we're going down to $3. We're rounding to the nearest dollar. So this time we're looking at this number and then using that one to make our determination. So we draw out our 3 blocks, 3, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2. Or we go down to $3, or we go up to $4. So when I'm looking at what's going to make my determination, I'm in the hundred. The hundreds is this 3. That's the blocks that we have here. So I look at the one below it. I look now at my tens. And I say if it's more than half, we go up. If it's less than half, we go down. This one is definitely more than half. So I'm going to go up to $4. Or we just look at our problem and we say, okay, here we are. I've got a 3. That's the one that either goes up or stays the same. I look at the 6 and I say, you know what, that is more than 5. Remember, so if it's just 5 or more, that means we need to go up. So this needs to go up to the next dollar of 4. But I highly suggest having them write this part down, where it's up to 4 or down to 3, because we don't want them to think that if we're at 3, we go up to 4. If we're at 3, we go down to 2. Like sometimes we can get mixed up and we think we have to go down with this number. But when we say we're going down to the nearest dollar below it. 362 is above $3, so the nearest dollar below it is $3. So just be very careful about that and watch them making that mistake. Okay, another thing that they're doing is we're rounding money. Now, rounding money, of course, is very, very useful. So one of the ways they talk about rounding money, other than the actual rounding we just did, where we round it to the nearest dollar, the other thing we can do is we can use mental estimation. So if I look at this problem, if I look at just the dollars, because I'm caring about rounding to the dollar, if I add those up, what do we get? 4, 5, 6, 7. We have $7 there. But then if I look at the cents, this is pretty much a dollar on its own. And if I put these two together, I get $1 there. So really I'm adding another $2 to this. So this should come out to about $9. So that's mental math, where you add up the dollars themselves, and then we look at the cents and we put them together so that they make $1. Now, is this exactly $1? No, but it's close enough. Okay, so we're just looking at things that go close enough to make $1. Which brings us to another thing that they talked about in class, but it might be something to talk about together, is why would you round up or round down when you're estimating? When you're shopping, And you're kind of trying to keep track of how much is this going to cost you in the end. So you go and you find something that's worth $2.57 and another thing that's $3.49, and you're going, you know what? I only have $10 with me, so I need to be careful. And I have $1.50. You know, typically at that point, if this is what you're doing and you only have $10, you're probably going to round up just because you want to make sure you have enough money. So if you round up, then what you're doing is you're overestimating. And so then you're sure to have enough money. If we round it down, we might be underestimating and we might actually need more money. So then the question is, why would you round down? At what point would you round down? Well, what if you're trying to figure out if you have enough money for something? Let's say you know something costs $20. Do you have enough? And you start pooling your money and you have $6.50 here and someone else has $8.25. You might say, well, this is $6, this is $8, and so now I'm at $14, and you round down just to make sure you have enough money. And so then this would be an underestimate, but in a good way so that you don't embarrass yourself and not have enough money. So, you know, this is a very complicated topic if you think about it. There's a whole lot going on. And so this is something that they talked about in class, but it might be something that you want to talk about at home too. Because if you notice on your homework, number 5 actually has you rounding down because of this whole you want to underestimate so that you don't think that you have more money than you should. So that's kind of where they're coming from, is just talking about why are you rounding down rather than rounding up? How are you doing this? You know, estimation is not an exact science. Of course, there's different methods that to themselves are an exact science, but which one you pick isn't an exact science. It's kind of more about opinion and kind of how you see the problem. And so that's where talking it out and discussing what's better and what's worse are really, really good for students to help them process what's going on in this problem and really being able to internalize it so that when this comes up in real life, they can actually do a pretty good job with it.